Narcan saves lives. Narcan has saved my own life.
Everyone should be carrying Narcan. It reverses an opioid overdose.
It's easy to get. It's almost at any pharmacy. You don't have to be 18, and you don't need a prescription.
It is saving lives every single day.
Want your boss to put some real action behind the rhetoric when they talk about making your workplace more inclusive? Find out how to hold their feet to the fire and demand diversity on the Diversity Dude podcast.
Hello there, and welcome back to the Diversity Dude podcast. I'm your host, Lambert Fisher, marriage and family therapist, award-winning author, and national speaker on the topic of multicultural awareness and diversity. And for those of you who are interested in even more positive, encouraging tips and strategies beyond what I share in podcasts like this, then feel free to check out my award-winning book, Diversity in Clinical Practice, nationally recognized for the unique way in which it addresses the often difficult topic of multicultural awareness and diversity. Designed for more than just therapists, if you're a helping professional in any way, diversity in clinical practice can help you meet the greatest variety of cultural needs possible for those whom you serve. And if you haven't heard it yet, I invite you to visit TED.com and check out my talk called What to Do When You Offend Someone, where I offer a positive and practical perspective for how to navigate cultural offenses in daily life. If you have to date, it's been viewed over 500,000 times. Check it out for yourself and be encouraged as well. And whether it be through my one-on-one relationship building efforts as a therapist or my informing and empowering efforts as an author speaker, know that my personal mission is to do my part to improve the world one strengthened relationship at a time. So today I want to share with you an encouraging perspective on resisting cultural biases after tragedies. As you've likely already heard, there was unfortunately another school shooting at a local school here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. While investigations continue in hopes of making sense of what contributed to this horrific tragedy, children and teachers who were there and directly impacted, as well as their families and loved ones who were indirectly impacted, and in various other ways, many people who have simply heard about it all over the country are all, in their own way, recovering from this tragedy and trying to find a way to move forward. It's also important to say clearly that if you find yourself struggling in any way with the implications of this event in your own life, I encourage you to find trusted, supportive individuals in your life to process it with and not hold it inside. And if needed, seek the help of a therapist to provide additional support you may need. And you can also call or text 988 to get immediate emotional support as well. Now, as ongoing personal and community recovery efforts continue, there are a variety of things that people may need to assist them personally and relationally. And while as a therapist, I have helped facilitate a lot of these supportive recovery conversations in the days since the tragedy occurred, as it relates to this Diversity Do podcast, I'd like to take this time to implore you to help reduce some common culture influence barriers to successful healing and recovery from tragedies such as these. If helping reduce barriers to your and others' ability to recover from tragedies is something that you're open to, then to you, I offer these considerations and how you can do so. Consideration number one, in times of tragedy, prioritize the legitimate needs of physical and emotional safety. I've been grateful to see so many immediate responses to this most recent tragedy that are focused on how to support not only the children directly involved, but also children everywhere who've heard about the event and who may feel less safe at their own school, unsure whether their school will be the site of the next unexpected school shooting. For tips and strategies for how to talk to your kids about school shootings, I recommend you listen to my fellow podcaster and executive director of the Minnesota Association for Children's Mental Health, Brandon Jones's It's Not Your Fault podcast, where he shares practical guidance that you can utilize today. If that's of interest, then follow the link in the description below to listen and learn to that podcast as well. But for now, let me encourage you to focus on providing physical and emotional safety for the children, parents, and teachers around you who were directly involved, as well as anyone anywhere who identifies in some way with their experience and are differently yet still significantly impacted. In response to many expressions to the contrary, it's okay to be impacted empathetically. It's not making it about you to consider the pain of others and to cry, to be afraid, to wrestle with anxiety, worry about extended family members and friends who may be far away. And yes, this includes the cry of relief that no one you know was lost. Your feelings matter, as do the feelings of those around you. When not interacting with someone directly impacted by the tragedy, it's okay. And please do take care of yourself and seek support when needed. However, if you do happen to be interacting with someone directly impacted, please do your best to prioritize providing support rather than receiving it, as in not making them responsible for supporting you. Be a safe place to share and explore feelings, wrestle with the unknown. Do your best to avoid fake platitudes and unwarranted promises of future guaranteed safety. Instead, reassure them of your best efforts to keep them safe and ways in which they can feel empowered to do whatever is within their power to keep themselves safe. These self care coping skills can have a lasting impact, not just immediately after tragedy, but for every day moving forward. With that being said, consideration number 2 is this: be intentional about avoiding culture bias, influence, shame, and blame. In an ideal world, the effort to support those directly and indirectly impacted would not need to be protected. Unfortunately, as I've therapeutically helped individuals and families wrestle and recover from this most recent tragedy, I've encountered several fears and frustrations that have gotten in the way of healthy processing emotions and moving forward. For example, many have admitted that when they first heard about the school shooting, before they could truly allow themselves to embrace and process their own feelings, they were immediately focused on identifying the cultural identity of the shooter. And for some, it was because if they found out that the shooter's identity matched theirs, then they knew that in addition to wrestling with their own internal feelings and the implications of the tragedy, they would also have to simultaneously deal with outside judgments from people around them who stopped focusing on their emotional support and instead shifted to blame and judgment by cultural association, as if to convey, you don't deserve emotional support. After all, one of your people did this. And still others admitted feeling reassured that even if they may have shared the same race or ethnicity as a shooter, they likely wouldn't be have the same level of guilt by association directed at them, at least not by the masses. And as long as there was no direct connection, they were allowed the freedom to choose to or not to provide emotional support to someone else. As it relates to many of you who are listening, who come from a variety of cultural backgrounds or identities, my encouragement to you is to resist the temptation to prioritize the significance of the cultural identity of the shooter in the first place, especially as it relates to assigning cultural group association blame, whether that be racial or ethnic comparisons or other comparisons such as similar age or gender or faith beliefs or political affiliations and more. While trying to uncover why tragedies like this occur is absolutely normal, try to resist the group association temptations and express things like, oh, it was a Catholic school? Mm-hmm. Figures. It was in Minneapolis? Mm-hmm. Figures. Or conveying that anyone with a gun is a part of the problem, despite their various reasons for doing so and safety reasons for doing so. Anyone with a mental health struggle is partially at fault by association, or even conveying with your looks, so with passive aggressive expressions. You did this. This helps no one. At best, it points blame that is most often not justified, and it hinders people's ability to truly wrestle with the reasonable and understandable horrific event itself. The impact on their loved ones and the ways in which we can all work together is where we should put our focus, not with blame, but with intentional efforts to reduce the likelihood of these happening again in the future. This also leads to consideration number 3. Intentionally help create cultural bias-free recovery support. Earlier, I invited you to be a safe place for others to share and explore feelings and wrestle with the unknown. Well, in light of cultural bias influence temptations that many unfortunately insert into these recovery efforts, you have the opportunity to be an ally simply by cutting some of those comments and expressions off at the pass. When you hear someone around you making sweeping conclusions or judgments based on cultural biases in moments of tragedy like this, then consider speaking up and conveying that cultural group generalizations are not only unwarranted and insensitive, but also unhelpful in a recovery effort of anyone who hears it, even secondhand. It may seem to many to be an innocuous statement, harming no one, but feelings and expressions like this have a tendency to multiply, contributing to people saying things like, what? I'm not the only one who thinks this. Everybody I know thinks like this. So it's not my fault. My judgmental conclusions and that may hurt or hinder your recovery progress, that's on you. You shouldn't be so sensitive, which is exactly the opposite of what someone who's experienced a tragedy needs to hear. You don't have to be a cultural expert to help reduce the frequency of unnecessary and unjustified cultural biases gaining voice when what's most needed is support and empathy during for what many consider to be the most difficult time in their lives. With all this in mind, my hope for you is that you'll be intentional about determining what you need and be aware of the needs of those around you. in the wake of horrific tragedies like these. If you're directly impacted, accept the legitimacy of your feelings, whether that be anger, fear, or even survivor's guilt. And don't do it alone. Make the most of family, friends, and professional mental health support if available to you. And if you're not directly impacted, then you can still process whatever indirect emotions you may be feeling and process them accordingly, while also utilizing whatever emotional capacity you may have to support someone else around you. Initiate support instead of waiting for them to say something. Listen, validate, and empathize. You both just might be the mutually safe listening ear each other needs. And while doing so, embrace the reality that tragedy is a time for cross-cultural empathy and support, not cultural bias, influence, blame, and judgment. Do your best to resist the temptation yourself and empathetically invite others to resist the temptation as well. Between offering support and helping remove barriers to receiving support, you can help create a culturally safe environment for everyone to focus on what's really important, creating physical and emotional safety for everyone moving forward, no matter what cultural similarities or differences there may be. And with that, I'll say thanks again for listening to today's Diversity Do podcast. If you have any pressing diversity-related questions that you'd like me to address on an upcoming podcast, or if your organization is in need of a shame-free and empowering guest speaker or training on this often sensitive topic, then feel free to reach out to me directly at www.diversitymadesimple.com. If you know anyone else who can benefit from a positive, encouraging perspective on this often difficult topic of diversity, feel free to send them a link to this podcast as well, or share with them my award-winning book, Diversity in Clinical Practice, available at Amazon.com. And don't forget to visit TED.com and check out my talk on what to do when you offend someone. I hope it inspires you and that you can share it with someone else as well. And as usual, I look forward to addressing as many topics as possible in future podcasts to help you improve as many relationships as possible at work, at home, and in your community. And as always, remember this: you don't need to know everything about everyone in order to have a positive impact on someone. Thank you all for tuning in, and have a great day.
Tune in each week and find out how to demand and implement diversity at your job. To hear more, check out previous Diversity Dude shows on ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com.
You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast-quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
What's up, everyone? It's Shaletta. I'm here getting a phone for one of my newly minted teenagers with Xfinity Mobile. They've got great options, affordable plans, and solid coverage that works for our whole family. With Xfinity Mobile, my daughter can stay connected with me wherever she goes. And did you know when you sign up, you can get an extra phone line free for a full year? Switch to Xfinity Mobile today for more savings, more smiles, and more ways to stay connected.